Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Kamari Ellis here, the Finance Rebel. Today is the Finance Rebel Show, right? Every day we do the Finance Rebel Show. And the whole purpose of the Finance Rebel Show is to help everyone increase their financial IQ. And one of the best ways to increase your financial IQ is literally to study finances, money, taxes, investment stocks, business, small business. Those are the things we talk about during the Finance Rebel Show. So today is going to be a short and brief one. I'm just going to talk about a new law that just came out. And no, I'm not talking about the president's impeachment, but Congress got together and they did something. They did some work, actually. But they passed a law called the Secure Act. Sounds like something out of the Marvel universe, but nonetheless, they did some work. So they basically passed a $1.4 trillion spending bill to avoid the budget cutoff and the spending cutoff that they've experienced a couple times over the years when we ran out of money, like last year when we couldn't get to a budget agreement and it caused all kinds of problems and issues. So I'm going to run through that. I'll run through the Secure Act. We'll talk about it a little bit. If you have any questions, I'll take a couple. Last night, I was on here for about almost 2 hours during the live Q&A. So it was a good Q&A. Ran for a while, ran longer than what I expected, but it was good. It was good. So no complaints, but guess what? I'm tired. I'm a little tired, y'all. So I need to make sure I get some good rest tonight. So just bear with me for a second. I want to share this broadcast out to a few places. As you all know, I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, IG, got Instagram up going right now. And I also like to share it to my personal page as well. If you guys have any questions or anything from last night, throw them up in the comments and I'll try to get to them. Like I said, this is going to be a short one. So short and sweet. So just bear with me 1 second. 1 second. How's everybody day today? Got one more to go. One more place to go. Now, the Secure Act is all about retirement. So I'm going to give you a clue about what that actually stands for. All right. Like I said, it's some weird, funky name. Oh, just knocked over my microphone. Some weird name that the congressman came up with. So the Secure Act is setting up every community up for retirement enhancement act. Setting up every community for retirement enhancement act. So I guess the big brains down there in Washington decided they needed to do something about retirement because most people are not ready or established for retirement. It's a big problem. We have about 10,000 people retiring every day now with the baby boomers retiring, hitting 65, they're hitting 65, they're turning 65 every day. They're not necessarily retiring, but a large portion of them are. A large portion of them actually are dependent upon Social Security. That's why people my age aren't so much really happy about Social Security or really enthused about Social Security because it'll be here, right? I'm not one of those people that's going to say Social Security is not going to be here, but I think it's going to change because Social Security is drastically underfunded. And if you're just now joining, you're watching the Finance Rebel Show. My name is Kamari Ellis. The Finance Rebel Show is all about increasing your financial IQ. If you like what I cover, what I talk about, be sure to like, comment, and share. Share with your friends, share in your groups, share with your loved ones. So again, Congress passed this $1.4 trillion spending bill. And inside the spending bill, they also had the Secure Act. Some people may call it pork, right? Because it's pork barrel, because they kind of added it in to the overall mix. But I guess they're trying to do some good work. All right. So a couple of things that they added. I'm not going to bore you and go through the whole thing. They added a couple of things, right? Some of you may be young, some of you may be old, but at some point, all of these things are going to affect you, especially if you have a 401k. So they did something. They pushed back the age for RMDs. What is RMD? RMD is required minimum distribution. Required minimum distribution typically is when you have money in an IRA and it's been growing all these years tax-free. The government says, hey, your money's been growing tax-free. We need to tax that money, so you got to start pulling it out. We want to use that tax dollars to keep funding the economy and doing things and keeping the money in circulation. So the current age is now 70 and a half. They're pushing it out to 72 years old. That's a good thing, especially when you do retirement planning correctly. You don't necessarily need all your retirement money. You don't need your retirement money that early if you do it right. If you do it right. All right. The other thing is you'll have the ability to contribute after your RMD age or your 70 and a half or 72 year age to contribute to an IRA, an individual retirement account. Now, RMDs are very, very serious, right? They tax you about 50% of your due of your RMD, right? So everybody that's 70 and a half, they have to pay money out of their pension or their IRA. Now, there's this special formula calculation we're not going to go through tonight, but if you don't contribute your legal amount that you're supposed to contribute or take out of your retirement account, they tax you at about 50% of that rate. So just for an example, let's say you got $100,000. They want you to take out $1,000 a year. If you don't take that money out by December 31st, that's why I'm bringing it up. We got about 12 days before December 20th. Wow, I messed that up. Before December 31st hits, you will get hit with a penalty of about 50% of that. So like I said, if you $100,000, you want to pull it out, it's $1,000. They make you pull out. If you don't pull it out, they're going to tax you $500. So keep that in mind. Remind your parents, they might need that. Sometimes when you're in retirement, you're really well, you have different pockets of money, different buckets of money that you don't necessarily pull from. So sometimes you forget. And I'll find people that forget to pull their RMD, again, required minimum distribution. All right. The other thing is that I don't like about this plan is they are pushing to add annuities inside of 401k plans. Now, usually they didn't like annuities. Now, what is an annuity? An annuity is basically an insurance contract. Life insurance salesmen will sometimes sell it as an investment. That's kind of skirting the line. It's kind of an investment. Hey, Vanessa, how you doing? It's kind of an investment, but life insurance contracts are not typically by law a life insurance, an investment. All right. So they're pushing for annuities. Annuities typically, not always, have high fees, and they have some other kind of squirrely things inside them called surrender values. Sometimes they will change them up for 401k plans, sometimes, but typically they are not the better things to typically have inside of a 401k plan. All right, but that's what they're pushing for. Why are they pushing for annuities inside of a 401k plan? Well, a lot of people argue with me and debate me all the time that politics doesn't matter when it comes to wealth creation. Tell them they're wrong all the time. But I would venture to say that they're pushing for an insurance contract inside of a 401k plan because an insurance lobby somehow, some kind of way convinced these good Congress people, these good senators up on the Hill to go ahead and promote that. So I venture to wonder why they're pushing for that. Doesn't seem like the best thing to me, but hey, it's here. The other thing they're pushing for is reducing fiduciary responsibility on 401k plans. They're pushing to reduce financial responsibility or fiduciary responsibility. And what does fiduciary means? Basically, you have to look after your people like a steward. If you've been rocking with me for a while, you might hear me use the term steward. It's a word that deeply resonates with me because when I work with clients, I kind of look at them like I'm their steward, right? It's almost like what the ideal parent-child relationship looks like. Parent is looking out for their child. They're looking out for the better interests of their child. Sometimes they have to be a little stern with their child. Sometimes they have to not spare the rod so they don't spoil the child. Now, I'm not beating my clients, but what I'm saying is I'm taking a very advocate, right? I'm an advocate for my clients. I'm an advocate for my clients' money. So sometimes, oftentimes, there may be a product or service that I could offer that, I could easily sell, but I decline to do so because it's not my client's best interest. So basically, what being a fiduciary means is to always work in the best interest of your clients, always. All right. So they're reducing the fiduciary standard for 401ks, and that is not a great thing in my opinion. I think people need as much fiduciary responsibility around 401k, around retirement as possible. They need as much as possible. Now, you all may not remember this, but there was a big fiduciary bill when President Trump first came in, and they were trying to get rid of it then, but it still went through. I think this is kind of their backdoor way of getting rid of those fiduciary responsibilities around 401ks and retirement. If anybody remembers that, it was quite some time ago. So I'm on the fence with that. Well, I'm not on the fence with that. I don't think that's a good thing, but I think pushing back RMDs is a good thing. I think making it a little bit easier for folks to contribute to their IRAs after the RMD time period is a good thing too. Now, they also included this other thing. It's like a thingy, right? Hey, Darius, I see you. I got your question. I will try to get to it. Just give me a second. I'm talking about the Secure Act right now. So Congress also, with the Secure Act, has also introduced the ability for new parents to pull out $5,000 from their 401k plans if they have a child. Now, not before they have a child, but after the birth of this child. $5,000. Now, what's significant about that? They get to withdraw $5,000 from their 401k plans without penalty. Now, if you are younger than 59 and a half, which most of you are, if you pull money out of your 401k or your IRA, 457 plan, 403bs, TSPs, any of those type plans, you typically get whacked with a 10% penalty. All right. Let's say you take $50,000 out, automatically off top, you're paying $5,000 like that. Unless you have a couple of exceptions, right? First time home buyer, some severe financial burden, and educational and medical bills. Now, they're making it a bit more easier for folks who have babies, new parents that have babies, to take out $5,000 without penalty. But guess what? You still got to pay tax on that money. So you still have to pay tax on, whatever money you withdraw. But usually with your typical 401k rule, you got to put the money back or else it gets taxed. None of that applies, right? IRAs have these like funky rules that you have to comply with or else you get extra taxes. Now, two parents, right? I'm assuming this is a two-parent household, mother and wife. They can pull out $5,000 for a combined $10,000. Now, there was a couple questions that I had that I didn't see answers to when I was looking at this, right? Some people have babies every year. So how many times can you take out this $5,000? Especially if you have a generous amount of money in your 401k plan. So, but we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more information to come out soon about that. It's going to be very interesting. I think more legislation should come out around 401k plans, around retirement. I think more legislation should be helpful. One of my biggest gripes about Congress is they have these wonderful retirement plans and pension plans. They've got this wonderful healthcare benefit. They got these wonderful perks and benefits. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, right? but most Congress people practice insider trading. But that's a whole other conversation. We'll talk about that another day. But I think they could do a lot more. I think they could be a lot creative. Part of my problem, though, with people that are on the Hill and just in politics in general, usually don't know diddly squat about money. And it's really sad. They don't diddly squat about economics. And many times when they make these decisions, they're not necessarily factoring them through or looking at them through the lens of economics or the lens of a financial person. They're typically doing it through the lens of a lobbyist or some other kind of political pressure that's coming down the pike. And that's typically not good for the people that pay taxes. So that's my take on that. I did have one question. I saw Darius, I'm going to get you first. I might have one or two questions coming over on Facebook. Okay. Hey, Tanisha. Hey, Dak. How y'all doing? All right. So Darius asked me a question. So everybody loves to ask me these real estate questions. Like real estate is like the new cult. Everybody loves real estate, right? But everybody's loved real estate for a long time. So Darius Magruder says, what's up, bro? Got a question for you. If you have rental properties in a different state, do you still taxes in state or out of state? So I'm assuming you meant, and I'm reading verbatim, do you still pay taxes on those? Well, that's going to depend on the state. Every state that I've seen, I believe, taxes rental income. I don't think I have seen any states that do not tax rental income. Typically, what happens is you report that rental income on your federal return. Depending upon how you have your business organized, it goes on the Schedule E. The Schedule E, you're claiming all your deductions, depreciation, repair, maintenance, any fees, legal fees, accounting fees, property management fees. You're deducting all those to come up with whatever your profit is, and you're reporting that on your 1040. So that then usually that fee, or excuse me, not the fee, that number, that profit typically transfers to whatever state you are residing in. I know I'm in Pennsylvania. They tax rental income. I know in Kansas, I have some clients in Kansas, they tax rental income. In Delaware and Virginia, they tax rental income. I can't think of any states off top. If anybody knows if there is any states that do not tax rental income, let me know. Tanisha Gaines is in the house, and she is an enrolled agent. She's actually a tax superstar. So Tanisha, if you know that, please chime in. I like for our conversations, right? I know I'm live and on camera, but I really think about these as intimate conversations. So feel free to join in. Vanessa, hell no, I hate annuities. So Vanessa's talking about annuities. Annuities have come a long way, but annuities typically are for people who are risk averse and don't feel like they have the power or education to manage their funds well. For some people, they work well with. Some people, they don't. Like I said, they typically come with heavy fees and long surrender periods. So a surrender period is basically you put $100,000 in. You cannot take that $100,000 out until your surrender period is up, or else when you pull it out, you are getting hit with some type of penalty, 5%. So if you put in $100,000 and you want to pull the money out in the first year and you get a 5% interest, 5% penalty, you can only pull out 95, right? And then so that tends to rock it up or escalate up until it's down to zero, right? Every year it should go down every year, the surrender penalty. So any other questions? Okay. Tanisha just chimed in. Tanisha says, depends on state filing requirements. Some have thresholds. You are correct. Some do have thresholds. If a loss, it may need to file state return if it's a non-resident. That is 1,000% correct. Tanisha is my tax OG. She makes sure she gets me right when I'm slipping. And listen, we all need people to do that for us. So again, Secure Act, it's here. They're about to pass it. It's passed through the Congress, lower house, House of Representatives, and the Senate. Tiara Marie, 31, asks, how do I get knowledge in investing in stocks? Tiara, I have a bunch of YouTube videos. If you just go to YouTube and type in Kamari, Camari, Lsellis, You can go on there. I just did one not too long ago about how to invest using Cash App. And on Cash App, you can invest as little as $1 up to whatever amount you want to spend. I talked a lot about it. So listen, every Wednesday night, I'm doing live Q&A. All right. Keep that in mind. Spread the news about that. Every Wednesday, I'm doing live Q&A, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube and also Instagram. And I answered a lot of questions about stock last night. If you have anything specific that you want to know, Tiara, inbox me or DM me because you're on Instagram. DM me. Would love to talk to you, possibly help you. I really get off on helping people to start to invest. Why do I get off on helping people to start to invest? Because one of the reasons why I call myself the finance rebel, right, is because we have all been programmed. We have all been programmed to be consumers, to be debt ridden, and to basically be, I don't like the term slave because of the historical context of people of my complexion that I've gone through, but it's basically built to keep us subservient. The American economy is built off of consumer spending. 67% of GDP, which stands for gross domestic product, basically how they measure the economy, is built off or based off of consumer spending. So as long as the consumer is spending, everybody's good. All the fat cats keep getting fatter. The rich keep getting richer. My thing is obviously old school wisdom. Live on less than what you make, right? And take the rest of that and invest it. Not just save it. You do need to save, but specifically invest. And it's important to invest because we all have a consumer mindset. We have to defeat the consumer mindset, and we must have an investment mindset. Only way to really become wealthy is to have an investment mindset. I want to give a shout out to Vanessa again. Vanessa is the CEO of Black Mama Cafe and Vodka and all these other things. She has an investor's mindset. And I believe as we begin to develop our investor mindset, we can build wealth for ourselves, we can build wealth for our family, and we can build wealth for our community. But we're never going to get it just spending. You can't spend our way to wealth. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. And, you know, I could go on to a whole rant about that. All right, Dak asked, define new parent. New parent, you and your wife, she was pregnant for 9 months. Then she had labor and had a baby. Probably cussed you out. Might have threw a couple things at you. And then she had the baby. So Dak's talking about the Secure Act that I was talking about with new children for parents. You can't take that money out until you do that. All right. Hopefully that was sufficient enough. Sometimes my mind goes left and I want to be more graphic, but I can't do that here. So y'all keep me in line. But again, Finance Rebel, I'm looking to create at least 100,000 Finance Rebels. We all have to rebel in some way, shape, or form. We can't do what the average person does, because when you do what the average person does, you get what the average person gets. Most of the people that truly create wealth, outside of stealing it, right? Outside of doing something strange for some change, they worked for it smartly. They worked hard for it. They didn't rob people. They didn't bootleg. They didn't do all those things. Now, some people will. I mean, I'm broadcasting on a platform where, you know, there was some questionable behavior at the onset of the platform. But, you know, it's there. And the mere fact that they might have stolen the platform, they still had to work to get it to this size and scale. So that took work, right? So no matter what you do, it's going to take work. And if you're lazy and you just want to sit around, you probably ain't serious about getting wealthy. All right. So, all right, everybody, Finance Rebel out. This is my video of the day, show of the day. Like I said, the Finance Rebel show is here to increase your IQ. Tell somebody about the show, share the show with someone, and I will be back tomorrow with the next broadcast, God willing. Have a great night, everybody. Do something strange. All right. Do something strange. Do something a little different out of your comfort zone and see how you feel about it, and report back to me and tell me what you felt and what you thought about doing it. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Later.